Hey guys, it's Wombat. Welcome back to my channel. And today we're going to be doing a review on Jail Jormungand Infinity Cycle.
Alright, so yeah, this is Jail Jormungand, I think. I can never pronounce this name right. Infinity Cycle. It was released in a booster towards the end of the dual layer era. And yeah, I think that's all the information about that. So the layer. Some actual trivia about the layer that kind of affects it is that there was originally a mold 1 of this layer released in the Random Layer Collection 3, which was Jeir Jormungand, which was Jeir is Jeir. I think it's German for greedy or something like that, which kind of fits the theme, but that actually had stronger teeth than the version that was released in the booster and in all subsequent releases after that, which was spelled Jail Jormungand, which has weaker teeth. So if you just want to get the layer, you'll want to get the Random Layer Collection one. But anyways, in terms of performance, it was tested a long time ago and found basically to be a weaker D2. It could destabilize, but it was a little less consistent than D2 was. It also bursted a lot easier than D2 did, so it wasn't really worth using as opposed to D2. This hasn't really been tested, but it also apparently resists spin equalization pretty well, because I know when I was just trying stock J2 as kind of like a testing dummy combo, it was outspinning my L2 hold and my Drain Fafnir combos, like occasionally, just stock, so it might not be too bad at resisting spin equalization. The disc is Infinity. I've already been over this in a previous video. It's all nice and shiny. But anyways, it's got a cool design, a cool concept. The whole infinite surface Mobius strip thing, the name Infinity. It's a cool concept, but it's just not it's an outclassed disc. It gets outspun by Ring, which it bursts the same amount as Ring, gets outspun by Ring, and they both burst more than Spread. And Spread has about the same stamina as Ring. So if you weren't like exactly following that, Infinity's the worst of the three, Spread's the best, Ring is somewhere in between. And then even then, Spread has been outclassed in terms of like raw stamina by stuff probably like 4 or 7 and 8, even though 8 bursts is kind of easy. And then in terms of life after death by Yell, Glaive, possibly Bump too, but I don't think Bump is any good for life after death. But either way, Infinity was like niche but usable, and now it's just outclassed. And now the driver's cycle, probably one of the most slept on drivers 2017. Considering that the only ways you can currently get Atomic are in that $50 4-pack and in Random Booster 6, where all of the releases of Atomic have been like priced up to probably like $40 to $60 depending on what they are. Cycle actually is a pretty decent replacement for Atomic in terms of procession and life after death, just because it transitions perfectly into Polish the same way Atomic does. It's just that this free spinning cycle here on the side just doesn't offer as much life after death as Atomic's Ring does. I tested the Drain Fafnir Polish cycle against Blaze Ragnarok for Glaive Atomic. Cycle was winning about 40% of the time. It'll also beat things that aren't designed to like outprocess anything, so stuff like something heavy defense, like any flat tip combos, except for well, if you count Destroy and Hold as flat tip, it probably won't beat those. But like Extreme, Excel, Iron, it'll outprocess that. Probably outprocesses like weird Excalibur Revolve stuff. Just or unoptimized like Revolve setups. But overall, it's a poor man's Atomic, not quite as good as Atomic. Probably a little more difficult to burst too, just because like most Atomics tend to have a weaker spring. I don't know if that was intentional or not. I don't believe it was. I think it just might have been a bad batch of Atomics because people have been saying that their God custom set Atomic is tighter than the random booster ones, so I think the random booster ones might have just been a bad batch. But I don't know for sure. Might also be a little harder to KO, but it might not. It doesn't move around as much. But yeah, overall, Cycle's a pretty interesting part. I would definitely recommend picking it up. And overall, J2 is probably a good buy if you're on a budget, if only for the Cycle driver. I think it was also released in the random booster with Maximum Garuda. I forget whether that was 7 or 8, but I know there's a Drasil 4-flow Cycle, I want to say, in there too, but this is probably the cheapest way to get Cycle. And like I said, it's not as good as Atomic, but it's a decent replacement. J2 is a pretty cheap booster compared to all the ways to get Atomic. And yeah, J2 is an interesting layer, not very good, and Infinity's outclassed, but overall, like, all the parts together are just overall not bad. Yeah, if you're interested in Cycle, or you just like don't have the money to spend on an Atomic, get J2. So next up is Acid Anubis, which is actually the last Beyblade in the dual layer series. So I will see you guys then.